series against Canisius.
I think a lot of it is the inconsistencies of a young team.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
It's a
100%.
telltale sign because we've seen flashes. I mean, for God's sakes, they were tied to one of the number one team in the country in the third period at one point.
All right. So last time on Sports Talk in the Burgh, we had Nico Brett from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds in studio with Logan Carney, the best interviewer on the planet. Brett's Pittsburgh Riverhounds are 3-0-3 so far in the preseason, with still a few preseason games to go before the regular season begins. So do you guys have any thoughts on the Riverhounds preseason thus far, or any thoughts regarding their upcoming season? Adam, take it away for us.
I think that this team is out for revenge, and that's the only word I can use to describe it, because that game last year, to end their season on such a heartbreaking note, all those rounds in the penalty shootout, they lost to Bethlehem Steel. Now this team is already out to a great start in the preseason. Their record last year, 15-1, 14 drawn, which
college
is still
teams
huge,
a great start?
Which is still huge.
Yeah. Is that a great start?
But
tying college teams.
I think Hedrick's completely right. All the way
I'm looking at
while he's searching for an immunity idol on Exile Island. I think Hedrick's correct. I mean, you're tying these college teams. Duquesne, you have a 0-0 tie, some soccer lingo there. Pitt, who's a quality team, you tied 1-1. University of Charleston, West Virginia, another tie. But I think the telltale sign, though, with the big picture here is the win against the Bethlehem Steel.
I agree with both of you guys. The wins are nice. I'm not too worried about the ties because preseason's preseason.
Yes.
That being said, this is a team that last year, despite how good they were, they struggled to score. Their leading scorer only had 15 goals. They didn't have anybody with at least 10. They were near the bottom of the USL in scoring last season. If just looking at these statistics, looking at these games, 1-0-0, 1-1, and then they had the one game against Gannon with 6 goals. That's what worries me. That does worry me a little bit. It's not so much that they're tying these teams; it's that they're not scoring, which is something that they struggled last year.
All right, so up next we have a fan favorite segment. That's right, the GM segment is coming up next. Hear what the guys would do if they were the general managers of your favorite teams. That and so much more coming up next on Sports Talk in the Burgh. Stay with us.
Physically at school, but my mind wasn't at school. I had problems at home. That's when I met Nardice. She started helping me a little bit, like, Nia, I don't know what you're doing, but your future is more important. She's my strength. It takes a village to help somebody get their diploma. It changes your whole life.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
What to expect when you're expecting.
Like here?
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey. Ready for the...
Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
Yeah, well, you told me I was good.
Well, welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh.
And just like the beginning of the show, Maluso's late.
Yeah.
Wow, what a surprise.
Wow, Maluso's late. His collar's popped up. He's
Nothing's
ready.
working for me today.
Yeah, you're having a great
Collar,
show. Great show today,
Hot
buddy.
start for today for Adam Maluso.
Tide's hanging down a little bit.
Happy
Man,
Wednesday,
great.
but the stash
Anyway,
is
welcome
on
back to
point.
Sports Talk in the Burgh. I'm Logan Carney obviously, and we're going to be doing our stepping into the GM shoes a little bit as we break down some of these moves. I know, fancy, stepping into these shoes and breaking down some of these moves that possibly could be made, why they make sense, and moves that have been made and why they did it. So, guys, I'm going to need you guys to pick a little bit for be an NFL GM. Pick whatever one you want. Mike, I want you to pick a team that you think you should trade for Brown.
Hello, Pittsburgh Steelers. My name's Chris Ballard, GM of the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm here to offer you draft picks for Antonio Brown. And let me tell you why. I have $107 million of cap space, a star quarterback, a star wide receiver on one side. I want another star wide receiver on the other side. I made the playoffs this year. I think I'm making them again. I think I'm going to win the Super Bowl next year. Oh, by the way, Antonio Brown's like a $20 million cap hit. Oh, wait, I only have another $90 million to spend, or $87 million, whatever it is, to spend after I'm done getting Brown on my team. Oh, what about the assets to acquire Antonio Brown? What would those be? Oh, by the way, I happen to have a ton of draft picks that I could spend. I have an extra second rounder from the Jets that happens to be the 34th overall pick in the entire draft. So that's another first rounder, essentially. I have the 59th pick in the second round. But guess what? I've heard, teams haven't even been giving that high of picks to the Steelers in their offers. So let's do this. I'll give you my third round pick, number 90 overall. We'll call it a day. You get one pick. I get Antonio Brown. I might even get myself a Super Bowl ring at the end of the year, Logan.
Now, that's a very, very great pitch for why Brown should go to you. So, Maluso,
thank you.
There's another player that's out there for the Steelers. As it turns out, the Steelers announced that they will not be tagging Le'Veon Bell. So, Adam, what GM are you, and what's your pitch to Le'Veon Bell?
For me, I am the GM of the Green Bay Packers, and this is a franchise that...
Which is...
You
don't know your name? You don't know your own name? Ted Thompson.
Ted Thompson, sorry.
Yeah, doesn't even know his own name.
Come on, Ted.
Yeah, you just start referring to me as Ted. So, this is a team that they really need help on this offensive output. Take a look at their average offensive plays and average yardage. 1,026 offensive average yards. In just 2 seasons, Le'Veon Bell has eclipsed just the average entirely. For his seasons that he had the last 2 years, he had 1,291 yards in 2017. The year before that, he had 1,268 yards.
That's great, Ted. But we're gonna move across from.
By the way, Chris Ballard wants Le'Veon Bell too.
Chris Ballard wants Le'Veon.
The offense speaks for itself on Le'Veon Bell.
I got the money.
Good job, Chris Ballard. We're going to move on. We're going to go from the gridiron to the ice. Jim Rutherford, now you guys are going to both be stepping into Jim Rutherford's shoes.
You
guys made some trades lately.
Don't forget his name.
You're sitting currently outside of the playoffs. So what's the team outlook look for you, and how do you break down the trades that you guys made?
Well, geez, my defense looks like Swiss cheese right now. We're missing Chris Letang. We're missing Brian Dumoulin. We're missing Ole Mata. So you know what? I'm going to pick up 2 defensemen at the trade deadline. It's kind of be a bit of a prayer, but here's the thing. I'm not paying a whole lot for Goodbrunson and Weidman. So low risk, high reward. Contracts are a little pricey, especially for Goodbrunson. But you know what? I'm giving up Tanner Pearson, who didn't do a whole lot for me. I got Bluger, who's been a great forward since I wouldn't say great, but he's been quality since coming up. He can fill the role of Tanner Pearson. But at the end of the day, I'm giving up Tanner Pearson and Gene Sebastian Day for 2 players that are going to help my back line.
Now, other Jim Rutherford, what's how you're breaking it down?
They're going to help that back defensive line. And I think the other
Rutherford.
Ted Rutherford.
Ted Rutherford. There we go. So they're going to help that back defensive line. But I think the one thing that's huge here is the play that the Pens are getting. Offensively, not
the Pens. You mean you're getting, right?
I'm getting, if you want to put it in the first person. They're getting huge offensive outputs from Malkin, from Crosby. They're getting good net coverage in net from Murray and everybody else on this team. But I think that you're seeing a shift with the Pens that before this season started, they had high expectations. They started out, they were definitely out of the running, and people even said, are the Pens even going to make it? They've done what so many other teams like Chicago, Arizona, all these teams are making late pushes for the playoffs.
Sorry, I have to cut you there off, Jim Rutherford. Now we got to move on.
Sabres aren't making it.
Sabres are not making it.
We got another person in the studio now. It's AJ Preller from the San Diego Padres. Now, AJ, you guys just signed Manny Machado to a 10-year, $300 million deal. Was it the smart? Were you guys giving us much money? Was it smart to do so?
It's a lot of money. $30 million a year, a lot of money. I wish Michael Shuley had $30 million a year and a 10-year contract for $300 million, but I'm actually A.J. Preller, so I can sign that check. Of course it's a good move. I have the best farm system in the league. I got a young, up-and-coming team. Sure, we only won like 66 games last year, but you know what? I got Manny Machado now. I got a bunch of young talent coming up through the ranks. I got a pitching staff that's just waiting to be called up to the pros. And, you know, we're going in the right direction. I'm telling Manny Machado, I'm saying, hey, Manny, you're the cornerstone of this project. You're going to carry us to the promised land.
Now, what about you, AJ Preller, number 2? Ted Preller.
Ted Preller. Well, I think that if you're looking at the Padres' stats here, and thanks for the Ted Preller. I think that the one thing you got to look at here is the fact that, you know, this team really got a good deal in Machado. There was a lot of talk about where he went, where he was going to go. A lot of people said that he was going to be heading to the Chicago White Sox. Didn't happen. But you look at here, you have guys that are loaded like Garcia, Reed, Rodriguez. All these guys are making impacts, but you get a good guy in Machado that I think could really lead this team back to a World Series.
What about a guy that's still out there making impacts? Of course, Bryce Harper's still out there, so now we're going to do Farhan Zaidi and Matt Klentak of the Phillies I'm sorry, I don't know why I called you Zaidi. You're not Zaidi. That's your rival. I'm sorry for insulting you. You're with the Dodgers, aren't you?
Absolutely, I am the Dodgers. I am Dave Roberts.
I apologize. I didn't want to do it. I know they're a rival. I'm sorry.
And all I got to say is, it's L.A. The weather's
LA,
beautiful.
baby.
We got the money. We need a player. We're projected for 95 wins. The number 1 team in the conference or in the division. We made the World Series 2 years in a row. Come to us and win a World Series. That's all I got to say.
What about what's the Phillies pitch?
The Phillies is you have guys here. Carlos Santana leads this team in runs from last year, 82 runs. They are the one thing that I'm going to be interested to see with this team is you have Jake Arrieta. He's out with a knee injury.
Arrieta. You can't even say the guys. It's your team. You can't even pronounce the names of the guys on your team.
You have Arrieta. Then you have Alfaro, who's in good with batting. He's had 35 runs less than Santana, but you have the pieces to make this work both in pitching and batting. And again, I think with all the signs that you've seen on social media and that I've seen on social media with Bryce Harper, it would be all but wrong if he didn't come to the Phillies because they've got so many weapons here.
Well, thank you for both of us. Thank you for all the GMs that joined us here. Thank you guys both. Now, of course, we're going to be going to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, it'll be our favorite segments for our final take. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I was physically at school, but my mind wasn't at school. I had problems at home. That's when I met Narnese. She started helping me a little bit, like, Nia, I don't know what you're doing, but your future is more important. She's my strength. It takes a village to help somebody get their diploma. Changes your whole life.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
What to expect when you're expecting.
Like here.
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
Ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
And welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Congratulations to all of you for lasting a block without me, the star of the show, not Logan Carney like he wants you to think. Right now it is time for final takes. And we're going to kick it off with my best friend in the entire universe, Michael Shuley. Mike, take it away.
Thank you so much, Hedrick. And for my final take, I'm going to take things across the pond and to discuss some English soccer. Last Sunday, Chelsea took on Manchester City in the Cabrero Cup final. Man City would go on to win the game, win the 0-0 game in penalties 4-3. However, what happened before penalty kicks is appalling to me. At the end of extra time, Chelsea manager Maurizio Sarri decided to substitute off goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga for backup keeper and former Man City player Willy Caballero to gain an advantage heading into penalty kicks. However, Kepa refused to come off. He refused the request of his manager and he stayed on the field. Now, my issue with this is not that the team would even go on to lose, not that Kepa is a bad player, because he's the club record signing at $92.8 million. And there's a reason that Chelsea paid such a hefty fee for the Spaniard. He's a quality player. My issue is the lack of respect for management. Kepa's actions completely undermined his manager, and beyond Kepa, his teammates did nothing to force the keeper off. And in fact, team captain Luis Azpilicueta did literally nothing to enforce his manager's wishes. Growing up, I was taught to respect my managers and do what they say. And seeing actions like this from players absolutely disgusts me.
So, for my final take, I want to examine the utter dumpster fire that has become my hometown Buffalo Sabres of the NHL. Since the end of their memorable 10-game win streak in November, the Sabres have been, to put it mildly, as I mentioned, a horrible dumpster fire. Despite a promising outlook and being atop the Eastern Conference at one point this year, the Sabres have fallen fast, and I don't believe anything will change until Phil Housley is fired. His inconsistent lineups and head-scratching defensive decisions are leaving a sour taste in Buffalonians' mouths. Jason Bottle, GMJB, get Housley out of town, make some big-name signings, get rid of Marco Scandella, and get Western New Yorkers back to talking proud.
For my final take, I'm going to do things a little bit differently, and I'm going to look at 3 Power 5 schools that are locally here. So let's start with the University of Pittsburgh Panthers. Now, despite the team struggling, as Xavier Johnson this past week passed the freshman scoring records set by Charles Smith 34 years ago. Earlier this year, Trey McGowan became the first freshman to score 30 points, and he did it in back-to-back games. Guys, I'm going to take the hot take that Pitt men's basketball is not only going to be ranked, not only going to be competitive, they're going to be a borderline top 10 team in 2 years. Calling it. You guys heard it here first on Sports Talk. Nick, you give me all these praise. Well, you're going to want 2 years. I want you to be calling me first. Say, hey, Logan, you were right. Now, their freshman trio of Johnson, McGowan, and Audice Toney are a core that can be built around. Given Coach Jeff Capel's well-known recruiting history, including 2 first-round picks at VCU, and also Blake Griffin to Oklahoma, and even Zion Williamson, who's making quite a name for himself at Duke. I find it hard to believe that he won't be able to bring a talented big man to Pitt, which is struggling with my words there for some reason. But Pitt, which is what the team desperately needs.
On time today.
Once he finds that guy, this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with in ACC play. But continuing that on with the West Virginia Mountaineers, another local school, if you want to say around here, they just recently signed a deal to play Alabama for 2 years, a home-and-home series in 2026 and 2027. Now, what's impressive about that is Alabama's known for paying cupcakes. They don't travel out of Alabama. They're going to Morgantown. Morgantown, of all places.
Roll
I
Tide,
love
baby.
this.
Roll
I love
Tide.
this. It's going to be now. I'm not a West Virginia fan,
of
but
course.
the fact that they got,
of course, who
but
would
the
have
fact that
guessed?
they got Alabama to go there, I mean, that's just impressive. And the last big thing that I want to talk about with the big 3 Power 5 schools here is Sandy Barber signing a deal with Penn State, the extension, to become the 8th highest AD in the entire country with a salary of a little bit over $1 million a year. Now, Sandy, as much as I hate Penn State, as much as I would wish them to fail, you have totally earned your due. Penn State's athletics have improved significantly after the scandal that hit them years prior, that we don't really need to go into too much detail with, in both off the field and on the field. Their academics have been high, and they've been winning at a substantial rate, so congratulations, Sandy Barber.
Logan, can we get a we are?
Oh, how about this? We are done here at Sports Talk in the Burgh. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you in 3 weeks